Welcome back to Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia. I am your host, Chad Everett Broshears. Today we're going to talk about authenticity. It's a lovely little subject. It's really it's the truth of your character. If you look at it from a very boiled down position, it's easy to play pretend in a world that seems like you have to fake it till you make it. And a lot of people worry about looking bad as they go through the process of making it. So they do a lot of things to fake it till you get there. From the people that you see on YouTube, some of the influencers. You catch somebody, holding a drill or a hammer next to some plywood at a building that's being boarded up, or somebody shows you a flashy Lamborghini or Ferrari in their garage and tell you that they read 10 books a week, but if you buy their course, they'll help you learn how to speed read and derive all the information and knowledge you need from the books within such a short period of time and make useful information. And you realize that a lot of these people are just full of crap. They're faking it. But we look at those and we find that we may look at it and say, you know what, I just don't really want to follow suit with that, or that person's just full of it, so therefore I'm not interested in what they have to offer. But how many of us actually do that in our life? It's like the ones that really stand out are the ones that are really kind of grandiose about it. I had this, I had this friend, and it's kind of hard to qualify that he's a friend. He's a friend to me, but because he is so consistent in being dishonest, and creating this false value or persona about himself, it's hard to know if he really saw me the same way in a reciprocated value to actually get to the point where you feel like you can establish the idea that the person is a friend, perhaps their acquaintance that you like, but they don't really reciprocate that value. Sometimes that's hard to tell. But anyway, so I have this friend. I nicknamed him Loki. Finding out when he tells the truth is a rarity. It's actually, in this situation, or this particular person and mutual friends of mine that are also his, we have a joke. It's more of, not so much a joke as it is, we'll actually contact each other specifically to talk about a moment that we find that was honest, where he did tell the truth. I have a friend of mine that actually has a standing personal gag order on me from calling him out. It's a really interesting thing. But why would he go to such extremes? Why would he lie so profusely? And he wants to be accepted. One of the things that I find that's also really interesting and fascinating overall, that we want to fake it till we make it, make people believe that we're a certain type of person, that we are a certain person. And not realizing what the workload's going to be off of convincing somebody of that particular attribute about you. Could be 6 months worth of extreme labor on your behalf if you're the one telling the lie, or misleading somebody. There's a maintenance value that goes with it. It's a long-term payout over a short-term discomfort. There's a good degree of why people lie is associated with the fact they don't feel safe to tell the truth. And some of those safety features is also just their concern about the way you look at them, and that makes them feel like they're not safe to tell the truth. Good to see Andrea. I think that's a fascinating piece. Who convinced that person, and at what age did they convince them to be dishonest? Or at what age did they convince themselves that they had to be dishonest? It's like it's fascinating, right? Like if you upset a child in the process of learning something, I don't mean upset in the sense that you've made them throw a tantrum, but I mean interrupt more than upset. A child's playing with, and I've used this example a couple of times, and I'll use it again because it's powerful. The child's playing with an egg on the kitchen floor, you're not paying attention to the kid, and then you look back over and you hear the kid got excited. Then you realize they smashed the egg on the floor, or they dropped it and it's broken. There's a mess to clean up. And you rush over and you take the eggs away and clean up a mess, and you find that you're frustrated and you've disrupted the child's opportunity to play with the eggs, to learn, take on that science experiment. You've disrupted it. Now that child also has the consequences of the disruption. Doesn't mean that they're never going to learn. It doesn't mean, there's a lot of things I'm not saying. I'm not speaking in absolutes. I'm saying that it could cause that child to take a specific route that gets outside of your degree of awareness. It's the same as like when you don't want to see your child face harm in the world, so you overprotect the child. And then what happens with that is, in psychology, they refer in a lot of ways, like, Freud referred to the Oedipus mother in a very broad spectrum. It's not just the sexual ideas, but there's other variables, like mother does everything and disables the child. Helicopter parenting, bulldozing parenting, just the parents that create the potential of a child having failure to launch, because we don't want them to feel the pain today, but we create a lifetime of pain because we take away that lesson. So it could come from things like that. It could be, I don't have time to listen to you right now. I have time to hear you out. So I'm going to pull away from listening to you. I'm going to tell you to be quiet. And by doing so, I'm actually taking away your opportunity to get my attention. Children want their parents' attentions, especially in the younger years. So they want to feel important. And if what they just brought up that may have been honest isn't valuable enough to hold the parent's attention, the adult's attention, they may fabricate something and realize that from that moment where they get a little bit more attention from that fabricated belief or statement, even if it's a reprimand for the child, it's still better than nothing. Indifference is a horrible punishment. Pain is, there's sometimes no greater pain than indifference or the missing of something. So that's a deep inquiry, but so being authentic is an interesting thing. It's just being completely honest. It's being completely transparent, and it's something that we don't seem to value now in society. I remember when I was going through some of the education that I've gone through, and I realized the authenticity element, and to stop faking it till I made it, and I made it, and just stated it, like put it out there. I'm working on something. I'm up to something. I'm building something, and it may not be the prettiest right now, and it may not hold your attention that long, but I'm working on it, and I'm going to learn through the process, but always be genuinely me. And as I was learning that, I realized I felt like I was also going to instantaneously disarm myself and become naked to the world, or vulnerable to whoever would use my life and what I'm willing to share as a weapon against me. Those kind of people exist, but I'd much rather sit in a room with somebody who sincerely thinks I'm an asshole, who sincerely thinks that I'm just a horrible person, and share it with me, than somebody sitting in a room and unwilling to tell me how they feel. I'm mature enough. If they say, Chad, you're an asshole, I'll be like, well, thank you for sharing that, first off. And secondly, why do you feel that way? What was the event? What was the impression that you have that makes you think that I'm an asshole? And perhaps maybe we need to get to the definition. What is an asshole to you? First off, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. It's not COVID. I got my test results back. I'm good to go. It really is. It's like, wouldn't you rather somebody be just blatantly honest with you? Now, there are times that a truth can be painful and you may not be in the right position. Somebody may be going through the worst day of their life, and they ask you a question and they're like, but what about this? And that the worst day of their life has been manifested simply because of their own behaviors, their own actions that got them there. But it may be such a detrimental time for them, and they may be so emotionally drained or vulnerable that you telling them the truth in its rawest form might come across in a way that may be more than they can tolerate. That may be more than they can tolerate for your relationship. It may be more than they can tolerate for the relationships that are involved with making them upset. Or it may be more than they can tolerate for their own relationship with their life. So sometimes you have to create a process to getting to what the truth is, but do it with intention to get there. You know, if it's, you know, changing the language enough that you still get it across, but at the same time, you get it across that I care and I'm here with you. Yeah. There's just a lot of ways that we can do things. Now, I have also noticed that there's a good degree of people that are in social media that like to be like almost like the hit and run inspirational type people. They'll post something that's inspirational and then they're done. They're going to move on. They feel like they've hit their quota for the day and they're going to go back to life doing whatever, and it's kind of the momentary feel good that they posted something that's inspirational. They put their words out for the day. I've hit my quota and I'm on my life now, and I'm going to go complain about my partner or my job or whatever it is. And they're not really living it. They're not completely authentic. It doesn't mean that 5 minutes that it took for them to find it, to feel it, and to post it, that wasn't sincere or authentic, but they slip back into an old pattern, and perhaps they're just not ready. They're just not ready to accomplish the long-term position of being that way. Maybe they need to work on more things, but I've also noticed that a lot of those people don't reach out and try to develop a structure for the long-term success. They're kind of winging it, or that's it. It falls into that trivial category that doesn't have a lot of function. We've got some interesting things that we do as human beings. I'm not always serious. I'm not always significant. I'm a goofball at times. I love to mess with people. But I also mess with people based off the way they interact with me. And I play around. You know, I like to joke around. I like to, you know, use a little levity. You know, sometimes brevity. Keep it short and sweet. I do like to try to be sincere and honest. You know, direct, but yet cater enough to show that I care in the process. I don't really want to be a wrecking ball in the life of the other person that disrupts them enough that they may actually lose something about themselves in the process. So, yeah, I've got, you know, there's so many things I love to use to disrupt patterns in people's lives. And somebody walks by and, you know, I'm like, hey, how are you today? And they're like, oh, I'm doing well. And I'm like, are you? Like, what's well defined by? You know, if they want to engage, then fantastic. And it may have actually just stepped foot into a different reality. Or I'm doing stuff. You know, I'm just kind of existing in a bubble. I love the ones that say, yeah, I'm here. You know, I don't really want to complain. Who'd care anyway? You know, well, there's two types of people that typically care when you complain. The one that wants to know that your life is worse than theirs so that they at least feel like they're not doing as bad as you. There's typically the type of people that are also attached to drama, like the drama, spreads the drama, enrolls people in it. And then there's the other ones that actually have the skill sets to get you out of that frustration. So, authenticity. It's a big topic. It's not something that's it's a word, but it really does carry a lot of meaning. It's the only thing that you can give away freely, but no one can take it from you. Your authenticity is something that only you can lose. Only you're the one that can lose it. No one else can take it away. But you can give your integrity, your authenticity to other people. So, cherish it. I cherish my word. I cherish what I have to say. I cherish the impact I leave on the world. And I try to see things from as many different perspectives as possible. So, this is not to shame anyone. It's not to bring them down. If anything, just to add a little bit of insight. Perhaps, you know, follow some more of my videos that I put out there. YouTube, Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia. I've got a Patreon. I've got, you know, an Anchor podcast account under Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia. Both of the other two are. I really am dedicating time because I just don't want to sit back and complain like most people do, or that it seems like a lot of people do. I'd rather let's look at things with such insight that might create some critical thinking that might free you from the frustrations and challenges that you're dealing with. That's why I do it. Oh, I don't have all the answers. I don't, and I'll never act like I do. Hell, there's plenty of things that I know, or at least I believe that I know, that I question all the time, and then find out that there's little pieces that I didn't understand, didn't know, or that I don't know. And I've learned it from a source that I need to unlearn. There's a lot of things about this that I get out of it. I'm not completely, altruistic in the sense that it's all for everyone else. I get something out of this. Sometimes it's just validation that my ideas matter, but I promise you, I get that a lot in my life. I do this because I want to see a change in the world that we can all hold on to, and we don't need to, grab our pitchforks or, try to kill the other person's ideas or attack them or damage them in their life. We're all up to life. We're all up to something. It's just some of us have the agendas that are a little more challenging, a little more aggressive. Something that they'll fight you over. And me being righteous about my beliefs when they're righteous about theirs is only going to lead to warfare. And I'd rather understand where they're at with theirs. I'd authentically want to understand them. As I want other people to understand me. I care that much that I understand other people. All right, with that, if I don't see any questions come in, I'm going to go ahead and end the episode for now. But I will say that I'm grateful for all of you that's checked in. I'm also grateful for everyone that accepts the seed of opportunities that comes out of this. Now, insights. Comment in the comment section for what you're getting out of this. Share this with the person in your life that you know that this can help. By all means, know that we're all up to something. And I know right now it seems like the world is one of those places that we're more tribal and that we should just tear it all down. But we don't have to. We can help other people build up enough that they may see the world differently. Just a little bit of care can change a world. But at the same time, sometimes people also need to go through hardships and frustration. So you need to understand your situation. Understand their situation as best you can. Understand if you have enough to be able to even offer some sort of support, some sort of even intellectual, emotional, or psychological interests or energy that might help them. Thing is calling for me. Gotta go. It's my pooch, by the way. Little girl Athena. 65 pounds of her. So, well, with that, thank you again so much for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia. Leave comments, and again, share this video with those people that you feel that this will help, or at least give some sort of, anything at all, even if it isn't qualified as help. All of us matter. It's just a matter of getting to the point that we all can see how much we actually make a difference with each other. So, thanks so much for tuning in. Again, this is Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia, and this episode is on authenticity. And again, I'm your host, Chad Everett Broshear. We'll see you next time.